it's one of those things where I was like, I was taking it and it was like wishful thinking where I was like, I'm going to take it and I'm going to, use it and it's going to make my hair all nice and full. And it took a while. Like, I just remember like crying in the shower because it was coming out in clumps. And I was like, and then I cut my hair and that didn't make it any better because when it finally grew out, like that thick Latina hair. So it's like my dad has it too. It's
like, it like grows out, but it like grows out up.
Yeah, it grows out up and sideways and it's uncontrollable and it's like.
That's good to know because I've been thinking maybe I should just cut it all off. Like at this point, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want it to be like last time. Maybe I should just like cut it all off. It's like, I don't know. I might just wait for it to more and then give it a good cut.
No, that's what I did. I think I was about 7. No, she was about 8 months. And I was like, I'm going to go and I'm just going to cut it off because I don't know what to do with it anymore. And it was hot. It was hot as hell here in Houston. It was like July. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I am just dying. And you're trying to get them in the car and you're just like, your hair, your little wispies are just kind of stick to your face. And you're just like, I can't even handle how ridiculous this is. And so I remember chopping it off. And like for the first month, it was like nice and light and silky because I still was kind of bald. And then when it started growing out, it just got real thick, like chia pet thick. And I was like, this is disgusting. And so I would go in for the trim. And there were a few times when I was so desperate because it had gotten so thick back here that I went and had the barber do it. And I was just like, shave the back. Like I can't even handle it. And so now we're in this weird like grow out phase. I call it my mullet because it really does kind of look a little Joe Exotic-y.
I think it's like pixie-ish.
I bought a whole bunch of headbands so that the grow out won't be so bad. Because if I don't have a headband on, it's not cute. It's like bowl and then.
Like month period there, like maybe a month ago, where I was like, man, my hair looks so great. It's so full and like nice. And like,
yeah.
Hair like that. Like I've always had really like thin, limp, shorter hair. Like this is probably one of the longest hair like lengths I've had. Longer, but then I lost it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't know. Did you make a cocktail or a drink?
I grabbed a Angry Orchard. It's been long.
Yay!
It's so long. I told Benita, I was like, there is some milk in the sink. It's warming right now. It's like frosting right now. Sleep, you're in charge.
And then also beer is helpful for boob juice. So it's like, yep. Say that again.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, no, it really does help. You know what my favorite was? And I used to drink it in the morning. Is it Eighth Wonder? Eighth Wonder a rocket fuel because it's beer with Vietnamese coffee. And so I would make myself like some eggs and toast and I would drink that because and it makes the boob juice because it's a dark beer. So
well, I'm drinking cider, so probably not as helpful.
Okay, well, we're gonna say that it's helpful.
But very good. And it's been a very
I'm drinking so Matt Hune drank this a few months ago and posted it on Facebook and I have loved it ever since. I didn't know about it. It's called a ranch water. So it's like tequila and then Topo Chico and like a squeeze of lime and it's nice. So good. It's refreshing. Like it doesn't feel like, like sometimes with a margarita, it feels like it's really thick and syrupy. This feels like a really just kind of lightweight, refreshing margarita because you get a little bit of lime juice, you've got that bubbly, and then the little hint of the tequila.
I like the bubbly idea of it a lot. I like a bubbly.
So how are things going in quarantine? Like, what is this like for you? Have y'all been out? Say that again.
Started early. The baby came in mid-February. And we had kind of already been watching the news a lot and seeing what was happening overseas. Mm-hmm. And we were like, it's coming. It probably is already. Like we were very much like, and because with the baby, I was already sending Benito on runs to like stock up a little more just before he came so that we didn't have to worry so much about going to stores. So like with like toilet paper and like water, we were already maybe like a couple of weeks ahead of the big crazy shutdown. And so that sense it was helpful that we were already kind of here and in but like because we started early, it's also felt it's been so long. We had small little things. I booked a commercial in Austin over a headshot, which is like exciting and awesome.
I saw that. And yes, congratulations.
Thank you. And so we went to Austin. We had been like, I guess it was that was in May. So that would have been what, 3 full months, I think, at that point.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
We weren't going anywhere, like even to Benito's mom's house. I mean, the first month when the baby was there, we would just to say hi. It's like a new baby.
Yeah.
But after that, we wouldn't even go there. She'd send us food. He'd pick up some food every once in a while.
Because it becomes dangerous after a while because you don't know what you're bringing into her home too, which is it gets really scary.
Yeah.
So she would make you guys food?
Yeah, like once a week we'd go over and she'd like, or Benito would go and he'd drive up and she'd bring some food out. And that was so nice. Especially with the new one. I could just eat whatever that she made for us. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We went to Austin. That was like our only time where I guess 2 times we've been out. We went there. Luca stayed with Benito's moms and we had to take the baby. Like a quick 24 hours. We stayed the night. It was a commercial for CVS, and I was like, I was literally washing my hands like almost the whole time. Like that was the
perfect.
Super clean, and the crew over there was really great at like maintaining that 6 feet distance. It was an interesting experience because like I would step back, they would come and slate the camera, they would leave, and then I would step forward, and it was just kind of really maintaining that social distancing, I think, so that everyone felt safe. So I didn't really feel like I felt good about going there, getting paid, but also I didn't feel like it was completely unsafe. And then we went back into quarantine and maybe like a week ago, now that we're starting to like see the numbers start to climb again, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll go say hi to the in-laws. We'll let them hold the baby.
Yeah.
They haven't done and then go back into our little hole.
Yeah, no. I feel that so much because my parents, my mom's like, I'm gonna come and see the baby, and I'm like, okay,
my mom told me that.
I'm like, you're not quarantining yourself, so like you're still running to like, I mean, she has her masks and stuff because we sent them, but like I'm just kind of like, you guys aren't quarantining and I don't want to give you guys anything and we don't want to give you. So we go back and forth because she's like, I just want to see the baby, because she hasn't seen her since like March. I think March 8th is when they came to visit and then they left. So we're just kind of like, I feel bad. So we send them pictures and things like that all the time and video, but it's not enough because with the little baby, you want to hold them.
Yeah, that's how my parents are over in Lubbock in West Texas.
Oh yeah.
To come so bad, and I know she senses my uneasement, but for me it's more of like I think the kids will be fine, but I worry about like with me and Benito, like we both don't have jobs, we can't get sick. Like that's the last thing that happens now.
Exactly.
I don't us getting sick would be really horrible, and so like we're pretty good at quarantine. I mean, he goes to the store like once a week or so. But I'm being cautious. I put my seatbelt on when I drive in a car. That's being cautious.
Cautious.
Okay with that.
No. Yeah.
Fine now. We play outside. We play Uno. Like we're doing fine.
We are okay.
Yeah.
So how has it been like juggling with the new baby and Luca, and what about like teaching at home or homeschooling the last couple of days or last couple of months?
He had school yet. He doesn't start till next year. He's a late baby. Yeah.
Oh my God, I thought he was in school.
A big boy. He looks like
Yeah.
he's 7.
No, he doesn't.
He does.
No, it's not that he looks like he's 7. It's the fact that he acts so mature. And so the way he talks to you and stuff, you just imagine that he's older. So, okay, that's my fault because I thought he was a little older because I've had conversations with him and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's pretty good at like conversation. No, he's just a late baby. That's all. He was born in November, and so he missed the deadline, and so he'll have to go. He starts this year, and we're like, what's gonna happen?
I don't know. Oh no.
Dad, he was so bummed that he couldn't go to school last year. And
is he a good big brother? Like, does he like take care and like?
He is. He's super sweet. He helps
Good.
like, hey, can you entertain the baby for a minute while I go? When the baby's getting upset, I'm doing stuff. And he'll like, the baby's fascinated with him, so that helps.
Oh yeah.
Just stares at him and he like smiles. Like, who are you? You're tiny, like me. I don't know. Baby's fascinated with him. He'll go and he'll entertain for a little bit.
Oh yay.
No, it's hard.
Yeah.
He doesn't get all the
attention.
So he gets frustrated naturally, but other than that, he loves him a lot. He was excited for him to come, so I think
I remember.
that helped.
I remember he wanted his baby brother. Yeah, he needed his playmate.
Yeah, I think that's what he's most excited for the baby getting big enough to like do more than eat and use.
Yeah, and he's close because like it's around what like 6-7 months where they start getting a little bit more personality, and then when they become mobile, that's a whole nother thing. And now, like, I mean, when Izzy started walking, that was a whole thing. And then now we're on the verge of potty training, and so I'm like, what? Like, yeah, no, I'm just like, yeah, it's a whole thing. But within like I believe within the next year, he'll have his playmate. Like it won't be the way he expects it, but he'll be having some fun with him.
And Izzy's 2 now, right?
No, she's 18 months.
Oh, 18 months. Oh my gosh.
She's 18 months. But my mom was like, oh my God, it's so fun because she is the craziest little kid that I have ever like come across. And my mom raised kids, so I was around them a lot. But she's just got such personality and she's such a fighter, and she just when she's unhappy, she lets you know and she communicates that to you, and she talks with her hands a lot. Like she's just like when you say something to her in her baby language, my husband says it sounds a little Vietnamese, like it has like a little Vietnamese kind of Spanish ring to it, but she's just talking to you with her hands. And you're like, I don't know what you're saying, but I know you're upset. I don't know. Well, he was like, we did eat a lot of, because my mom always used to say like, what you eat during pregnancy, that kind of, not old wives, but it's like what you eat during pregnancy, that's what they become. So if you eat a lot of pickles, you're gonna have a sour baby or whatever. And so Azel was like, we did eat a lot of Vietnamese food. I wonder, like, and I'm like, I don't know, that I doubt that's how it works. But she gets real angry and like she just talks to you in her language and she uses her hands, and I'm just like, oh my God. But she is, oh man, Marissa, she's a ball buster. Man, she just is. And I'm just like, I can't take it.
I love it.
But my mom said that since she's home, or since we're home, Azel's working from home, I'm doing some work from home, but that we should take advantage of like already introducing her to the potty. And she's been fascinated with the toilet and toilet paper for a very long time. So it's so funny because I'll be sitting on the toilet and she comes over now and she takes the roll, and she pieces off the tiniest piece and hands it to you like, here you go. And you're like, that's gonna wipe up. Yeah, here you go, Mom. You're welcome. And I'm like, that's gonna wipe up nothing. All right, give me the roll. So she's been fascinated with the restroom for a really long time. So we're just kind of like getting her used to it. And we have her little chair up there and everything. So yeah.
I wish Luca didn't want to do anything until he was like 3. And then when he did, and he just didn't want to. He didn't want to. I was like home for 2 weeks because it was like Christmas break or something. And I was like, all right, you're naked. You're going to be naked until you go to the potty. That was it. I was like, we're done. You're 3 years old. I'm tired of wiping your butt. It works. So.
No, that's how you have to get to that point where you're like, I'm done. Like, I'm just, and so since Izzy's been sick the last like almost 2 months, the second half of the 2 months was just severe diarrhea. And I was just like, Azel and I were just cleaning poop all day long. And so I'm like, I think we've both hit that point where we're like, we've earned our badge. It's done. It's time to go into the toilet. Like it's toilet time.
Oh yeah. Doing.
She's doing so much better. We've been, I think, we've been fever free for a little over a week now. So we're in a good place. They said, the pediatrician said that it could take anywhere from where we were to 6 weeks for the virus to leave her body. And so we've just been watching her, keeping track, just, monitoring her, her fevers, her diapers, keeping her hydrated is really important. And the doctor said the moment that she starts getting that kind of energy to play again, is going to be a good sign. And the sign where she wants to eat, she has her appetite back. So those are the things we've been looking for. And so lately she's been eating a little bit more. She's been wanting to play. She did have like a very long period of time where she was just so lethargic that she would play and then get tired and just want to be held. And so we hit that for a few weeks, but now she's like running around the house and, really wanting to play. And so now Azel and I are like, she's in a good place. We're like, she's much better, because we were like,
what? I was terrified for you.
No, it's crazy.
I was thinking about you.
Thank you. Terrifying. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's
like being a mama and having a sick baby. You can't do anything. And it's like, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you really, really can't. I always tell like friends that like one of the worst things is a sick baby. Because you feel so helpless. You can't figure out like what to do. They don't communicate with you. You're constantly taking temperatures. They don't take their medicine very easily, and so they're fighting against their self. It just becomes really crazy. So we are so happy that we are getting like in that place where it just feels like she's better and we're we've passed it. But it is the scariest thing about the virus is that nobody really knows about the virus. So you don't know how your body's going to react to it. You don't know. And there was all of those articles where it was like, it doesn't affect children. And to then come out and it, people be like, it does affect children. It just affects them differently than we were, prepared for. And so,
strange.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, different for everyone. And so it was one of those things that like she, you could have symptoms immediately at that moment, and then like you've got your 14 days, or like the virus can live in you for a while and then cause other problems to come up. And so that's exactly what ended up happening.
And now we're learning about like persistent positive people, which I guess Izzy would be somebody who was persistent positive. She just continued to
to show signs, show symptoms, and then how her body reacted to whatever was going on. So that's what's really scary about what's happening right now, is that you have no idea how, if you get it, because some people are like, oh, 14 days, or I'm healthy. And it's like, it doesn't really matter. Like it affects everyone differently, whether you have an underlying health concern or not. But we're living in some very weird times right now.
Yeah, we are.
Very uncertain. I do want to kind of jump a little bit because I want to give you a chance, and us a chance, to talk a little bit about TEATRX and the upcoming project, because I want to make sure that you get the support that you guys need to make sure that you have the viewership and to. I think there's a lot of people that, of course, like within our inner circle that know what you guys are doing. But I'd like it to reach a little further than that. Like, the high school teachers, knowing that there's a place for their students, and You know, and I think there's even people within the industry that aren't very close to within our Latinx circle that don't really know what you and Benito had to go through to get this up and running, what you guys put into it on a daily basis. So if you could walk me through just kind of like maybe the origins, like how did this TEATRX idea come up?
I think it's just something we've always talked about. That one day we want a theater. I think that's always been something that I think Benito and I have talked about, and our other co-founder, Jorge Diaz. Him and Benito had those conversations before that. And it was just at some point, it was we just have to do this. And we have to do it right. And so we just began conversations about, right, what would our theater look like? What would we want our theater to look like? And started thinking about things like a mission statement and what kind of projects we'd like to do. And then Jorge had this idea of a big thing is like, how do we get the Latinx community to come and see theater, right? Because they're missing from a lot of theater audiences. And some of it may be because they're being excluded from a lot of those theater shows, or they're being hired like once a year, which is not really, that doesn't create an audience base,
Yeah.
that's loyal, because if you're not loyal to them, why would they be, right? And so he had this idea of movie theaters, about the Latinx community is always at the movie theaters. It's the high ethnicity that goes to the movie theaters. And so what about putting the two together? And that's where we started our short play festival, putting together short films and short plays, and seeing it and trying to gain our audience that way. And the first year was it was good. It wasn't great. There were some bumps that, there's that bit of a learning curve that we're trying to combat. Because a lot of this is us just figuring it out on our own. And we have had people who've reached out like, hey, we want to help. People who have been in the industry before. Been really, really wonderful and really great. And so that was kind of our first thing. And we've just we're slowly still figuring out like who we are. And the big things for us are exploring the range of Latinidad. We know that the Latinx community is vast and different. And it's just from people who are super light complected to Afro-Latinos, to the LGBTQ community of Latinos who are very much ignored a lot.
Yes.
We just want to try and, as much as possible, show Houston and show our fellow Latinx community that they are not the only thing that exists within that community.
Yeah.
We are vast, we are huge, and we are so different and so unique and so beautiful in so many different ways. And it's for us, that's a big thing, and showcasing new work. And also we know that our future lies in the younger population. And so a big thing that we've slowly realized is we really love working with young actors, young directors. We really like working with young theater makers because they're the future. They're the future of TEATRX. They're the future of the Houston theater community. There are so many wonderful, hungry young theater makers here in the city. And it's really exciting to see. And we don't want them to leave Houston because they get discouraged by the lack of opportunity here. Exactly. We want them to be here, and we want them to show the stories of the Latinx community to Houston. And so that's another, I think, big thing for us. I think those are the big main things. New work, the young community, and exploring the range of Latinidad is something that we are super passionate about. And we're just slowly kind of zeroing in on those things.
It takes time. It takes time to kind of, I think a lot of times people feel like, like you can just kind of like bust right out of the gate and like get it all done. And it does take time to not just be able to produce the work, but to kind of lay foundation down. I'm learning within the arts leadership program that I'm in is like, the first 3 years are, the hardest, because you do have to feel this kind of self-discovery and does this work, does this not? And then when you hit the 3 years, you then explore, am I doing everything in my power to make sure that the mission statement is, the one we've settled on is solid? And are we doing everything in our power to do that? So yeah, you're exactly right that it's not something that happens overnight. It's the idea that grows, and then you've got to put the admin behind it, and you've got to do the marketing behind it. And, it takes a very long time to get the Latinx community out of their homes to come to see a show. Yeah. It's hard. And something that I've explored, or I've looked at too, is even myself as a theater maker, theater goer, I now have a baby. And so what do I do with my baby when it's time to go watch a show? And so for the last year, Azel and I have been taking turns going to the theater. So you go tonight, I go, next week or something. And that's even hard right there, is thinking about like our community. It has parents, it has people that work, it has. So then how do you get that community to come in and watch you and to give you an hour and a half or 2 hours of their time?
That's like my dream of having a theater that has a daycare. That is like a dream that like one day we will have a dedicated space, and in that dedicated space we will have some kind of designated zone for parents to bring their kids. Right.
PAL, girl. PAAL. We gotta, we gotta get that up and going.
Because it's difficult, like you said, and like a lot of the times, like between our work and with the kid, and now we have another one, it's just like we can't, like, it just becomes really hard to even go out and see shows we want to see. It does. We want to support. And then there's two of us, and then the two kids, that's four, and so everything's more expensive. And it becomes difficult and hard, and that's just a dream of mine. One day, I'll have a dedicated space, and it'll be like 2-3 days a week where you're like, bring your kid day, bring your kid. We have staff.
We have a matinee. There's people. There's staff. Yeah.
I know. I worked over at in Arkansas in October, and Theater Squared, they have certain days, I think, where it's like a parent day, where if you can get a specific ticket, you call ahead, and they'll have someone there so that your kid can. It's necessary, I think.
It is,
and also necessary to think about the parents who are working in the field. I make it to where my kid will be at some rehearsals, and I tell our cast, like, if you have a kiddo and you don't bring them, it's okay. Because that's just the life. Like, we don't get paid enough to get a babysitter. We don't.
No.
So I make it a point of like bringing my kiddo so that other people know a safe space where your kid can be, where if you have to pop out of the room to go and do whatever you need to do with your kid, you do that. We can make that happen.
Exactly. It's so important, because you start to, as a parent artist, you start to then choose between, do I do the work or do I go home to my child? And that one is a hard one too, because it was one of those things that, like, especially when I was doing FEFU, Azel had bath and bedtime duty for weeks. And then you have that one Saturday to go see a show. And it was like, do I go see this show, or do I go put my baby down to sleep that I haven't been able to do in like 2 months? And so that became really hard, because you feel like you're not an artist, or you're not being, true to yourself. And then you feel like it's just this constant tear as a parent artist, because you don't know which one to give the attention to at that moment. And then the moment you choose to not give it to your child, you do the parent guilt, where you're like, you were just like, holy shit, like I'm the worst mom in the world because I took this time to go see a show instead of put my baby down. And then she, when that baby cries for you and all of that. And so you're just like, oh, I'm the worst mom ever. Yes, it's definitely something that we have to explore as parent artists more. Oh, there's my computer. Parent artists more, and also like within theaters, how do we then, because people have complained about streaming, like, oh, it's not theater because it's being streamed. And I cannot tell you, Marissa, like, I've seen so much good theater from my sofa because I didn't have time to go to the theater, but I can
Yeah.
catch it. I can catch it at night when she goes to sleep, or some things I've even put on and we've watched together while she's playing. So I think there's something there, and I'm more than happy to, like, I have a subscription to the National Theater because I love the fact that they stream their work and I can have access to it and I can see what they're doing across the pond,
Yeah.
and so just things like that I think are really important for us as theater makers to explore, that it doesn't necessarily have to be on that particular platform or medium anymore, that we now live in a
Yeah.
world where it's a little bit more accessible.
Yeah. For sure.
Tell me a little bit, how did, so we got the origins. Was it difficult to get up and running? Are you guys a 501c3 so that if somebody makes a donation to you, they get to write it off? I mean, those are important things that,
Yeah.
the community should know.
A lot of it was just getting started, I think, was a big thing. I think a lot of what helped us in the beginning was the first of all, the Let Creativity Happen grant with HAA. That time and time again, that grant has come through for us in that we've been able to it's super, like they do it like 4 times a year or something. And it's for different kind of projects that are different, a play festival, movie festival at the same time. That doesn't happen very much. And that helped us get started. That was our, like, we got the grant and we were like, all right, we're doing this movie play festival. And that was a big thing. And then fundraising. So our first year we had no kind of nonprofit status or anything like that. But after the first year, we're still kind of exploring the realm of nonprofit and seeing, I'm pretty sure that's like the way we're going. But a lot of it, you have to learn a lot and figure out a lot of the avenues. And so right now that we're still kind of learning about ourselves, right now we are fiscally sponsored with Fresh Arts, which has been really great because they take care of all the crazy financial stuff. And then we're umbrellaed under them so that some big grant funds we're eligible for and we can apply for because we have their fiscal sponsorship. And that I think is a really big kind of game changer for us because we can now solicit funds that are, why does that keep turning off? We can now, it's one of the,
and I lost my headband. You keep going. I'm gonna refix my hair, my do.
We can get, we can solicit funds that are not taxable.
Okay, good. Oh, that's not even working.
Our partnership with Fresh Arts, I think it looks fabulous.
Oh, there you go. It's
I love like the bump and then the like tiny on the bottom. I like it.
Thank you. I'm working on it. It's not like this every day, so. So you're sponsored through Fresh Arts, and that allows you guys to, if you get a donation, that can be a tax or tax refund kind of thing where, what is it? What am I trying to say? Where the person who makes the donation can write it off. Yes. Okay, right. Perfect. All right.
And there are like few things around in that, like technically they're writing it to Fresh Arts, but like in the memo line, they'll just put TEATRX, and Fresh Arts kind of takes care of the business of like putting it into an account for us and things like that. And so that makes it really nice. Or there's like a website online where you go to the Fresh Arts website and it takes you to a page about us. Yeah. Really, it's a great.
That's great. That's really great.
Artists, it's great.
Yeah, excellent. So I know you've had how many, it's been 2 movie theater festivals, or is it 3?
2.
2, okay.
Third one's coming in November.
Okay. All right.
No, we're working under the idea that we can do it live, but we're also thinking that we may not be able to.
Yeah.
Had a funding snafu just because we received a festivals grant. Sorry, we received a festivals grant from HAA, but the grant funding has been significantly reduced. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Significantly reduced. We were super excited. It was going to be kind of a bigger, I would say it was going to be a festival on the same scale as maybe last year's, but it gave us the opportunity to be able to pay artists more this year in the future. I think that's what kind of where our mentality was, like, you know, let's not go any bigger. We're very much on slow and steady, you know. Let's not go bigger, but let's pay our people a little more. And that's what we've tried to do every year. And so we were excited that was going to happen. And now we're kind of like figuring out, okay, we're going to get probably half of what we were going to get originally. So let's go back to the budget. And because with COVID and everything like that we also might need to like slash the amount of people involved. And we're even thinking about considerations of if we can't do it live.
The virtual platforms, which ones?
Platform, and how to do that. So those are conversations that we're having right now about.
Perfect. Yeah. No, it's something I think a lot of people are exploring because what ends up happening right now is that if you do make a plan for the fall, you have no idea what that looks like. And then you find yourself scheduling and then rescheduling and then scheduling and then rescheduling. And that's where the frustration comes out for you guys as well, because you're just backpedaling a lot, trying to figure everything out. And so, I think we're all kind of in this, we're in this boat about like, how long is this going to be? And can, is it safe to be out and about? And I mean, this second spike is what's kind of scary, is because everybody was just kind of like, I don't have to wear my mask anymore and I don't need to be cautious. And you're like, no, or all those people that were posting eating out at restaurants without their masks on, but their waiter has to have a mask on. And I'm like, oh my God, like that is like,
you're infecting the workers, like the restaurants are closing because they have infected workers. I mean, it's because of the people who came in without a mask.
Exactly. And touched doorknobs and, coughed or used silverware. And of course, the workers they have their masks on, they have their gloves on, but you can't police everything that happens. And that's what's been really scary, because of course we have friends that are artists that also work in the restaurant industry that you're like, please be careful. Like, and yes, all those people that are like, look at me, I'm getting my pedicure without my mask on. And you're like, oh my God, like person, like, no. So you guys, where did you guys come up with the balcony series? Where did this come through or come from?
One of the new addition to our team, so we have me, Benito, and Jorge, they're the co-founders of TEATRX. And we added a new addition, Ashley Para. She's a jack of all trades. She does everything technical, and if she doesn't know how to do it, she will learn how to do it. She is
excellent,
amazing and awesome, and in every way. And so she's our production coordinator, and she is going to she's getting her MFA right now, and in lighting, but she's also working on translating works into Spanish.
Yay.
And so she, for one of her independent study classes, she was working on Romeo and Juliet with David Derringer, because it's somebody, he wants to like take our Romeo and Juliet into Cuba and make the Romeo's family Cuban.
And wow.
Juliet, Latina, but maybe a Latina who doesn't speak much Spanish, right?
Yeah.
So they were already kind of working on that. We were originally slated to do our new works project, Reflexión, but with everything that happened, we were kind of in that frame of, we didn't really want to do a reading per se. We wanted to try something different.
Yeah.
And so we knew they were working on this, and we thought about how similar the balcony scene is to now, people being separated by outside forces, and how they get around that, and what that is for them. And, that's what's happening right now all over the world. people who can't see their significant other because they're staying in another room or another house because they work in a hospital with positive patients. You have couples who are separated in nursing homes, families who are separated because they can't see their parent or their grandparent in a nursing home or something like that. And then people discovering like more about themselves, you know, the love for themselves and finding what that is now that they're being kind of forced to look within because they can't really go anywhere or do anything. And so a lot of it came from those ideas. And so we knew that we wanted the balcony scene because it's all about how they want to be together, but they really can't. Physical barriers and, you know, the barriers are surrounding them with their families and the feud and things like that. Exactly. And then we kind of decided somehow that we wanted to show kind of a behind the scenes look at what it's like to try and deal with these things during a pandemic. How theater exists during a pandemic and how to find theater on Zoom on an online platform. Is it possible? We're finding ways. There are lots of fun conversations about like we had a conversation about having 2 different camera angles and like switching the camera to show different angles. And I was like, that's film, that's not theater. I was like, when you're in a theater, you have one seat, you have one angle, that's it. It's like, you know, we're trying to find the theatricality. How do we do that with that one angle? And so that's been fun. Trying to make it look like they're in the same place has been fun.
Yay! You know, that is a lot. Yeah.
We've seen the readings where you know, they're all on a blank wall or like
virtual backgrounds. Yeah.
And so people are trying it in different ways, and so we are as well. So we'll see how it works out. There's 5 episodes.
Yay!
The first one is just a introduction to like who we are and how the pandemic has affected us and Houston. The second episode, you get kind of an inside look at auditions, which is interesting. It's fun. Inside look at like what auditions are like for us as we like through Zoom, as we're like talking about the actors, and we had such fabulous actors send in tapes. And you get to know some of the actors. So and get to hear how the pandemic has affected them, our artists in the community. A lot of them have been hit very hard, and they don't know when they're going to be back on stage again, which is unfortunate. And then episode 3, we go into the rehearsal room. And so you get to see what it's like trying to figure out those things, like finding the theatricality, what it's like trying to Zoom rehearsals and the struggles that come with the lost connection and the freezing.
Or the mic going in and out.
There's lots of issues. To Zoom or not to Zoom is the title of that episode.
Love it.
And we have episode 4, which is Shakespeare and Love. We talk about how relevant Shakespeare is today. And we get to hear from some of the actors on what they think about that and how they identify with Romeo and Juliet. And then we get to hear from people in the community who've sent us videos, and not just our community, but from like the United States, where we get to hear about their stories of quarantine and how they've been faring so far and what they've learned about themselves and their relationships. And then episode 5 is our live stream performance of the balcony scene with our wonderful actors. We have Matthew Martinez and Elisa Cuellar. And
I love them both.
Oh, they're fantastic.
I adore them both.
It's been fun getting to play with Zoom with them. And they just jump right in. It's just fantastic.
2 very, very fantastic young artists. I adore them both. So yeah. Oh my God, that sounds like so much fun. So has this been, in regards to this process, is this something that you, Benito, and Jorge and Ashley do? Or is this something that, like, did you, in regards to the episodes, did you have to then find a videographer to help you guys out? Or how does this go? How did it go producing this particular project?
So Jorge is a filmmaker as well. And then Anthony Almendarez, he's a multimedia artist. He does a lot of music, but he also does editing with film. And so somebody who kind of we added to the team when we did 21 Trump Street. He was a music director for our second
Yay! That's right.
And he's fantastic, and he is super passionate about the work we do. And so we immediately were like, well, let's ask Anthony. He's got, and so it's kind of been an all hands on deck between the 6 of us. And then we added David Derringer, who helped adapt the balcony scene with Ashley. And so it's he works mostly on the theatrical side of it, in rehearsals and things like that. And then the rest of us are kind of trying to figure out, we've recorded all of our meetings. We've recorded all of our, and that comes with challenges. Things that are a little finicky, but we've recorded most of it, besides I think episode 1 is Zoom footage that they've edited. And so that's really the most of it. It's Zoom footage that we kind of figured out, okay, what is the story we want to tell in this episode? Exactly. And just kind of compiling that footage and then helping to try and tell the story. That's the hardest part. How do we find the footage to tell this story? And so we're still working on it. We've got at least an episode and a half. They're editing, but we have 2 episodes pretty much done. So that's exciting.
Excellent. So tell me, the day, the drop day is, or premiere date is the 21st, 22nd. Okay. June 22nd. And is there a premiere time as well, or are you just dropping it at that time, that day?
It's 8:30 Central. And
okay. So 8:30 Central on June 22nd is the premiere date. And then tell me how this will go, whether we're finding links and if it's going to be taken down after a certain amount of time so that our viewers know.
So it's going to be, we're going to drop it on Facebook Live first. We'll drop it there, and then we'll have a Q&A every night for the whole week. And then it'll go on Instagram and YouTube.
Okay.
And at some point it'll have a home for a while. I'm not sure how long yet, on our website.
Sure. And so
it'll be available for a while. It's a free event. It's a giant experiment of sorts.
Yeah.
But we're going to encourage donations and things like that.
Perfect.
Our editors done a lot of work.
And I'm sure they have.
But we want to throw money at them because they're doing a lot of work. And then every day we're like, we got to pay you more.
Yes. No, pay artists, right? That's what you want to do. Yeah. Excellent. And so if somebody would like to make a donation to you guys, where is the best way to do that? Is it through your website? Is it through Fresh Arts? What's the best way to do that?
If you go to our website, there are links to Fresh Arts. Just right on the homepage of our website, there's a donate button, and that'll take you straight to the Fresh Arts page and donate through there.
Excellent. Okay, so people know how to donate. They know how to view, and it's going to be the 22nd through the 27th, if I'm correct, or 26th. Okay, so 22nd through the 26th. Friday. Okay. And so there'll be drop times at 8:30, but there will also be ways that they can catch it if they miss it on live on Facebook. Okay, perfect. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that will help us make sure that everybody knows what's happening and when it's happening. I think that's it in regards to all the information. Let's see, I'm checking the time. Okay, so it's 2:50. I don't want to keep you I don't want to keep you too long. I know you've got a baby and other things to do. Just how has it been just navigating as an artist here in Houston? We talked about TEATRX and creating this home and this space. And then we also talked about just being a mother, but just a Latina in the community. What has that been like for you? Is this a challenge? Have you lived other places and it's not as challenging here, or is it better here, or what have you found navigating these streets?
So I think the only places I've really worked in a lot was Seattle, which is very white place to be. and Houston, which is not a white place to be. And I think the most surprising thing is that the challenges are the same, which I think was the biggest surprise for me. In that in Seattle, it was difficult to find roles for Latinx actors because, you know, a majority of the work they do is not made for Latinx actors, but also the majority of the population, like big time, is not Latinx.
Yeah.
Here with 44% of the population plus, and growing, like the next census, we'll see what that number is. I'm sure it's above 44% of the population by this point.
I'm going to say it's around 60, but
yeah, it is much higher. I'm positive. I think that I think coming here, I thought there would be a little more work for people who look like me, and you know, like a theater for people who look like me, and there, which was I think a big surprise. And I know like Benito was born and raised here, and he, I know that he's been saying that for a long time. You know, that's been the same old. And so, you know, I was lucky enough to get to work with Main Street the first year that I moved here. I've been here with Lucas for almost maybe 3.5 years now.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to get a job with Main Street that first year, to work with Philip Hayes, who's fantastic.
Men on Boats, right?
Yes, and a super diverse, awesome cast. But I know that you have to find a diverse cast in order, like a play that's written for a diverse cast in order to get cast in that play, or even get called in for that play. I've had a couple of calls for like some Jane Austen stuff around town, but for the most part, I'm only contacted if it's specific to ethnicity or race, and it's unfortunate and sad. And we've also as a company been contacted, and I love being contacted to ask for Latinx talent, and I love that information. I'm like, yes, I have people for you. Here are those names. You need talent here. I'm going to email it to all of my people because they should be in your room, but they shouldn't just be in your room when you need Latinx talent for a Latinx play.
That's right. That's right.
That thing is, it's a little frustrating. I don't mind being asked. I know some people are like, it's not my job to do that for you. I like being able to, you know, send out word to people and know that, hey, this person got a job because they heard about it from me, and that makes me happy. But it shouldn't just be for Latinx specific shows and things like that.
That's true.
People should be in your room all the time. It's a, you know, we're trying to change it from the inside. That's we learned quickly. I was like, I learned quickly, like, you got to change it from the inside, otherwise nothing gets done. And so we're continue to put out Latinx stories. We continue to show the range of Latinidad so that we're not all one monolith. We're all different. I am a Latina who doesn't speak Spanish, and that in itself is unique to, I think, the companies here in Houston. The ones who consider themselves Latin are Spanish speaking only. There are some who don't understand that we do English and Spanish content. And I'm like, because there are people who speak both, you know? We talk about the term Latinx, and for me, it's that I think being somebody who is Latin, who is of Latin origin, and is living in America, that's the X factor. It's living in America and has the American experience. It changes everything. It even changes your culture. It becomes this mixture of things, and it comes together in that way. And for me and for us, that's that Latin. We are LatinX theater. You know, even if it's a story about people who are Mexican in nationality, if they're living in the United States, they have a unique experience as a Mexican who is living in the United States, as a Mexican who their culture is melding with that of the States. So it's different.
Exactly. No, very true. That's so, all of that is so true, and so needs to be said so much more, so much. I feel like sometimes, I feel like sometimes I feel like we have this voice and we're using it and we're projecting it and people are like, okay, all right. And you're like, no, you don't understand. Like this is so important that we're saying all of this stuff because so that we're not seen just as one note. We're not seen with just one background, that it's all encompassing, that I try to explain to everybody that, you know, somebody, a Latino or Latinx person in LA has had a different experience than a Latinx person in Texas. That
Mhm.
we live different stories. We have, although there are things that that bring us together, and there are foundational things that are there present, but that doesn't mean that I'm the same person as someone that's in Los Angeles or New York or Chicago and I think that's where that's so important, that the community and the theater makers around us realize that there there's this kind of just huge story beyond just what they see or just what they want to see.
Yeah.
That we're so much more than just the label. If only they could see what that label encompasses,
Yeah.
would be really wonderful for them to see just beyond just the term.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are doing such a beautiful job of shining light and highlighting that, and being able to like hire and present the work that you guys do is just so wonderful. I wish it could happen so much more, but
Mhm.
I am just so grateful that it's happening now, and
Yeah.
that I love working with you and Benito, and
Don't
Jorge,
worry.
and yeah, you guys are so fantastic, and it's so easy to talk to you guys, and I love that something that happens in the Latinx community a lot is that, like exactly what you said, that if you don't speak Spanish or if you don't have that particular, that we have cultural biases within our own, you know,
Yeah.
community, and that happens a lot where you're not considered the gente if you don't do a certain thing.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you guys don't really seem to focus on those things. You focus on the human and their personal story and their personal journey, and that it's just as important for them, for that to be seen as it is the whole story to be seen.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you guys enough for that. That's just it's so wonderful. I need to find other words than fantastic and wonderful, but it's really a beautiful thing that you guys do, and I thank you so much for that.
Enjoy being able to explore what explore and poke out what Latinx means.
Yeah,
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 because it's language, it's skin color, it's religion. Like, you know, I think when you grow up in a certain Latinx community, a Latinx family, you expect those things, and we gotta see beyond that. We gotta
yeah,
see Afro Latina, Afro Latino brothers and sisters. We gotta see our brothers and sisters that are, you know, Spanish speaking, who are non-Spanish speaking, who are DACA, who are
yeah,
Mexican, who are Chicana, Chicano. Like, there's
yeah,
just so many. Our Puerto Rican, our
yes,
Islanders who are Afro Latinx, and we ignore
yeah,
them. Our Afro Mexicans,
yes,
they
yes.
are, they are,
And
they
then
are, they
indigenous as well.
ignored. Yeah, indigenous. There, and they've long been ignored for a long time.
Yes,
Um,
yes, so true, so true. I can't thank you enough today for this, Marissa. I don't want to keep you much longer because I know Izzy's back there just
I can
waking
hear
up from her nap. But I did want to thank you so much for joining me today. And just I just can't thank you and Benito and Jorge enough for what you've created and what you guys do on a daily basis. And I know as a parent, having to balance those two things is a lot. And just that your work is seen and appreciated and so
you.
necessary. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Love you guys, and
Thanks. This has been fun.
Yeah, no, it has been. And I will give me just a second. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the live stream. And let me